In this episode, we talk about 3 very simple life hacks you can use to save more money. Get excited because this is Tiny Leaps. Big change, big. Welcome to another episode of Tiny Leaps. Big changes, where I share simple strategies you can use to get more out of your life. My name is Greg Clunis, and in this episode, we are looking at saving money. We want to dive into this topic because it is something that so many of us struggle with, so many of us are dealing with. We don't make enough. We aren't keeping enough based on what we make versus what we spend, and so we're never really able to save any money. We're never able to pay off our debts. We're never able to make any moves to push us forward financially, not to mention all of the stress and anxiety and sometimes depression that comes from our personal finances. So we're going to be talking about 3 very basic, very simple life hacks that you can use to save a little bit of extra money. It's not going to be anything that changes your life, but it might be enough to help as you deal with all the different issues you might run into in your life. Now, before we jump into the topic, though, let's take a look at today's sponsor. How would you feel if you saved an extra $1,500 this year without lifting a finger? That's exactly what Empower can help you do. It's an awesome mobile app that makes saving and managing your money the easiest thing that you'll do all day. For starters, Empower has an automated savings feature. You simply tell the app your weekly savings target, and every day, Empower studies your income and spending and automatically knows when to move the right amount of money into your savings account, where you're less likely to spend it. It's called autosave. Just set it and forget it. If you want to save $1,500 more this year, you've got to check out the Empower app. Download Empower, that's EMPOWER, in the App Store or Play Store. You can get $5 for free, $5 when you use the offer code TINYLEAPS. Head over to empower.me/tinyleaps and use the offer code TINYLEAPS. All right, so the first thing that we want to talk about when it comes to saving money, very simple things you can do, is to use what I call, and I'm not sure if there's an official name for it, but I call it the cash and envelope method. Now, many of you are familiar with this. Many of you have used this in the past. I know my sister uses it. She gets a lot of value out of it. The cash and envelope method is very straightforward. It's essentially getting different envelopes and writing what it's a budget for. So let's say groceries or light bill or rent or whatever it is. And every single time you get paid, your job is to withdraw the cash, the amount that you're going to need, and put X amount into each of the envelopes. So let's say you've got 3 envelopes, one for your rent, one for your light bill, and one for your heating bill. So you've got 3 envelopes. You know how much each of those costs each month and how much, therefore, need to be in the envelope each month. So your job is to look at your paychecks, how much is coming in and at what frequency, and then divide up how much you need in total from those paychecks. So let's say that overall, the total that you need for each of those envelopes is $900. That would be insane. Maybe you have a roommate or something, but let's say it's $900 just to keep the math easy. So you know that by the end of each month, each of those envelopes needs to have $300 in it. Every 2 weeks, you're going to get a paycheck of roughly $1,000. So $2,000 a month you're taking home. You've got $900 in expenses that need to be filled in these envelopes, and you are taking home roughly $2,000, right? So now you'll need to essentially look at each paycheck. $1,000 comes out. How much do you need to withdraw from that $1,000? And then divide up amongst the envelopes. If you need $900 at the end of the month, then each of those envelopes combined need to have $450 in them every 2 weeks. That's going to add up to that $900. Okay, so now you take that $450 out of your $1,000. You've got $650 or $550 rather left in your bank account. You've got that $450 withdrawn, and then you would distribute it into each envelope based on how much each envelope needs. Based on how much of that $900 needs to be for that bill. So it's a very straightforward method. And the reason that this works is because when you're dealing with credit, when you're dealing with debit, when you're dealing with a piece of plastic and swiping a card or paying online or whatever it is, you often don't feel the weight of spending that money as much as you would when you are dealing with cash. Oftentimes when I am, let's say, attending a conference or traveling or doing anything that is sort of outside of my norm, I will withdraw cash to spend instead of using my card. And the reason for that is because it's much easier. Psychologically, it's much easier to swipe a card and not even think about it than it is to whip out cash and have to count it out and hand over that physical money. If there's any benefit to physical money, it's that it's a little bit heavier than a card. It's a little bit harder to get rid of. And so you'll find yourself naturally saving more money this way because you are dealing with the cash rather than dealing with a piece of plastic. Now, the next one comes actually, it was a response to somebody on Quora. The response was by a woman named Breanna Shaw. So I want to give credit to her, and I'm going to link to the original Quora question with her answer in it. But the idea is very straightforward. When you are doing your groceries, so groceries is one of the biggest pulls of our money each month because we do have to eat. It is a necessity, but food can be very expensive, especially if you have a large family or if you are cooking every single one of your meals. Food can be very, very expensive each month. And so one of the things you can do is to go online. If your grocery store has this option, go online and pre-order everything that is on your list, right? So go into a planning thing, maybe use Evernote, maybe use Spreadsheet, and you just identify, okay, this is everything I need to buy. Then you go online and you place those orders, put it in your cart, and place the order for pickup. Now, the reason this works, and again, I want to give credit to Breanna Shaw for this because it is brilliant, and I would not have thought of it myself. So, gonna link to her Quora profile, in the description of this episode. As you are going through and you are adding things to that cart, you can see the running total, and that's really fascinating. I talk all the time about the need for consciousness or mindfulness when it comes to your money. We often spend more than we think we are. We often don't realize how much we're spending simply because it's sort of happening without us paying close attention to it. But when you can see that running total, every time you add something to your cart, you can see that number increase, it causes you to pause. It causes you to be aware of how much you are actually spending. And that is ridiculously valuable because when you're in a grocery store, you can just pick something up. Maybe you notice the price, but you're debating whether or not that price is too expensive in relation to itself. It's very unlikely that you have a running total in your mind of everything in your cart and are thinking about the price of that thing in context to the rest of your cart. But when you are online and you can see that running total, you have to think about it in context of the rest of the cart and how much you are spending in total. And so you're going to find it harder to just randomly place things in that maybe weren't on your list or to just sort of add things that shouldn't be there. Not to mention, we often talk about how shopping while you're hungry, going grocery shopping while you're hungry will often lead to you buying more things that you don't need. Well, this is one of the other benefits of doing it online, is that you can eat first. You don't have to worry about being hungry while you're doing it. You can control that. You're in your own environment. So it's something that is under your control. So that's the second tip, is to pre-order all of your stuff online and then go out to the store to pick it up. Or if you feel like it, get it delivered to your house. Now, the third rule is one that I've talked about before. It's called the 2-day rule. And the idea is very simple. When you have the urge to buy something that is not a necessity, something that you don't absolutely need, wait 2 days. The reason we wait 2 days or 48 hours is very simple, because it often is an impulse purchase, right? We see the thing, maybe we got an Instagram ad for it, or we've been seeing other people wear it, or whatever it is, right? Like, we see this thing and we just think, oh, I need that. I need to get that right now. Like, I want it so bad. And there's all these emotions wrapped up in that. If you wait 2 days, those emotions deflate. And you can start to see very clearly whether or not you actually want this thing, whether or not you're going to use this thing, whether or not this thing actually matters, whether or not you can afford this thing. Does it even make sense to get, even if you want it? By waiting those 2 days and adding that barrier between the decision to buy something and the actual act of buying that thing, you create an opportunity for logic to emerge and to take charge. And you never know, you might find that at the end of those 2 days, you still want that thing. At the end of those 2 days, you still think that that's important. Well, now you are making a better decision because it's coming from a place of being thought through, of a place that wasn't just an emotional impulse buy as a result of great marketing. So those are my 3 life hacks to helping you save a little bit more money. Again, none of this is going to change your life. None of this is going to be the thing that makes you a millionaire, but it can help you when it comes time to having a little bit of extra money for whatever it is you might be trying to do. I hope this helps. If it does, be sure to click subscribe wherever you are tuning in. Be sure to drop a comment or leave a review, again, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much for being here, and remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.